The last thing you want when you're on the trails is to think you got a full tank of gas, but you got nothing in the tank. In this video, we're gonna show you exactly how to fix that pesky problem. Maybe your gas gauge is not working in your Polaris Sportsman. This should be able to fix a Polaris Sportsman 800 like this, a 570, really any of the Sportsmans. This is a potential fix for the issue. It may be hard to believe, but this cork is actually the very answer to our problem. If you want to tackle this problem, it's going to require more than removing just a couple of bolts. We're going to walk and see exactly what our mechanic Jeff did to fix this very issue. You're looking at a quick sneak peek of the halfway point of this project. It's going to require you to go all the way to the fuel pump, which is the source of what could be wrong, and we even get a little sneak peek of Jeff rocking to his music here. Polarises are certainly known for the fit and finish on the machines, but that does mean a lot of work for the mechanic to get to anything that needs to be accessed. There's a 13mm bolt along with a 10mm bolt, and you will also need a 25 Torx bit on there to get the front rack off, and you're seeing all the different spots there of screws that you need to remove. And then it's as simple as just lifting that out. You are doing that so that you can actually get the panel behind it off, and so that's what Jeff's now working towards here. There are 2 bolts on the left hand fender, there are 2 on the right hand side. Once you've gotten to this point, you're really getting close. A couple more bolts there holding some things on. You can finally get that front plastic piece off, and it's just really tucked in there. Take the gas cap off, pull the lever back there, and you wrestle with it for a little bit, and you can get that out without taking that top light off. So that's what Jeff's done up until this point, and that will give you almost access to the fuel pump. But there's an air intake right here that Jeff had to wrestle with for a bit. There were a couple clips that had to be loosened to the point that we could get that air intake off, and it could be different from machine to machine. Generally they're going to be set up, you know, somewhat similarly. Now the fuel pump that's actually on this is a little bit different than most of them we see. Usually you're going to have a plastic piece there you can unscrew. It's fairly easy to access. This one we actually had to even bump the fuel tank back just to be able to pull that out. So there's a little bit of a process of us kind of going through that just to figure out how to wrestle this fuel pump out of here. Before we actually pull the fuel pump out, we actually have a tool that can siphon the gas right out, and so Jeff was doing that because that fuel pump is actually sitting below the full level, so we had to get it lower than the top of the fuel pump. We actually, if you look, there's a lot of shiny gas on there because, well, we didn't do that at first, but here's us moving the gas tank back to give us a little bit more room so we could pull that fuel pump out, and we finally were able to wrestle this thing out of here, and we discovered the problem. The arm of the mechanism had actually broken off. The spring needed to be put back in place, which Jeff did, and it snapped right back in as it should, and we were back in business.
Then as you put fuel in it, the float comes up, and this goes up like that, and then there's a variable resistor in here that changes the resistance, and either it's going up in resistance, or depending on the manufacturer, it could be going down in resistance, telling it where the fuel level's at. So I'm going to plug it back in and run this and see if the fuel gauge works. Fuel gauge is they either read full or empty. Usually they read empty and they flash because they're telling you you're out of gas. And even though you got a full tank of gas, this is sinking in the gas and not floating like it should, so therefore the sending unit isn't functioning properly. We take it off, verify it to see if it goes up, and then we'll go buy a cork and put a new cork on there and put it back in, and it works quite well. That is just saturated with the gasoline. So yeah, there's definitely the problem.
Jeff got the spring put in place, plugged this back in, no need to even turn the machine on. All it's going to do is read based on where that indicator shows on the fuel pump, and already we're seeing it at 2 bars. We set this up near full, actually, you see right there, and literally this will take 30 seconds to a minute and a half to change every time and bump. So you see right there it bumped up to 3 bars, and that takes a fair bit of time, so be patient as you do that. And then Jeff, actually it's just a cork, went up to Ace Hardware, put a cork in there. It's just a flotation device. You heard me right, a cork, and this is actually completely safe. Gasoline is not going to eat away at this. Of course, you could buy the Polaris version of this and wait, might be a $15, $20 part. You get this for $1 or something at the hardware store. So this is just a quick solution that you could use and it'll definitely do the job. So had Jeff put the fuel pump back on, air intake's sort of in place, but you want to just do all these checks before everything's put back together. So we've got it to a point where it can run, and if I start this up, had it running so the fan kicked on. But we filled this with fuel and now it's showing full, so everything looks good here, and it slowly rose up to that top point, and I think we're good to go on this. We're going to go ahead and put it back together. We've got this put together. Gasoline shows full tank of gas. There's only one more thing to do.